Hi, I'm Amy Hamm with the New Westminster Times. I'm here to talk about the Conservative movement in BC and the recent implosion of the One BC Party. So back in November, I wrote a column asking if it was too late to salvage BC's Conservative movement. This was in relation to, at the time, growing calls for the resignation of John Rustad, who was leader of the Conservative Party. I argued that yes, Rustad should resign, and as we know, he did at the beginning of this month, following this internal and highly organized coup by the party's caucus. So now we've got MLA Trevor Halford from Surrey White Rock as the party's interim leader. So as soon as this happened, a lot of pundits, commentators on social media were cheering, suggesting that the Conservative Party would be able to kind of rejoin or resorb the One BC Party and everyone could work together as a big, happy Conservative family. And of course, One BC was led by fired Dallas Brodie, was fired by John Rustad, and her fellow MLA Tara Armstrong, who quit the Conservative Party and formed One BC in solidarity with Brodie. To my mind, the One BC Party was sort of destined only to be like a provincial version of the People's Party of Canada. I didn't see it as a party that would be able to gain widespread support and would really only split the vote on the right at a time in this province when we cannot afford to split the vote on the right at all. We saw just how close our provincial election was. We didn't even get the results on the night of. That's how absolutely close it was. Provincial polling from October of 2025 done by Angus Reid showed that things were still just as tight between the NDP and the Conservative Party of BC as they had been a year prior, just before the provincial election. So One BC, meanwhile, has been all over the news since their formation in June of 2025. Their communication strategy has clearly been highly effective. The party was tackling controversial issues like immigration, reconciliation in a new way with stronger language and bolder claims than we've heard from any party before, including the Conservative Party of BC. And then, of course, out of nowhere, One BC imploded. Tara Armstrong posted on X that she had lost confidence in Dallas Brodie's leadership of the party. Dallas Brodie was removed as the leader, and everyone who'd been involved in the party began this very public, very dramatic game of mudslinging. I don't want to rehash the entire timeline of the party's destruction. It's been covered by several journalists, including Jared Jagger over at the Western Standard. I will include a link below this video of the video interview that he did with Dallas Brodie. So all of this mess with the implosion of One BC sort of centered around one party staffer, Othman Mekhloufi. He's this young 22-year-old guy whose online history was concerning to Brodie, as per her reports. So she allegedly called for him to be fired, and this seems to have set off the party's destruction. I sort of question whether or not this is all just a pretense, because from the outside looking in, it really looked like an organized coup, just as what had happened and gone down with John Rustad and the Conservative Party of BC. But of course, the difference here with this party is that One BC was a 2 MLA party. So political parties in BC require 2 MLAs in order to have official party status. Without Brodie or Armstrong, the party is done. And it appears that there were no other MLAs waiting in the wings to jump on board. It's bizarre that Brodie's removal as a leader happened as this attempted takeover of a party, because it's a party that can't even maintain its status or existence without her. It's also becoming clear, if one puts a lot of stock into Twitter ratios as an indication of public sentiment, that people are really siding with Dallas Brodie on this one. The public seems to believe that Brodie is One BC, and Brodie made it clear that she wanted the party back. And on Sunday, December 21st, she announced that she got it. So Brodie posted online, quote, "As you may be aware, OneBC has gone through a difficult 10 days where control over the party was being contested. After negotiations, I've regained control of the party and have reassumed my position as leader of OneBC effective immediately. I'm terribly sorry for this conflict that spilled out into the open. It's not what I wanted or ever dreamed could happen. That being said, I have a great and bright vision for the future of British Columbia and this OneBC movement, which will put BC back in the hands of its citizens rather than its elected officials. She goes on about the establishment, says don't lose hope, don't get discouraged, don't give up, and ends on a Merry Christmas and God bless you and your family, end quote. So prior to Brodie announcing this, the official OneBC X account had last posted 3 days prior on December 18th, and this is what they wrote at the time. Quote, the OneBC party board is responsible for the governance of the party and for the supervision of its executive director, who oversees the day-to-day management of the organization. Board deliberations relating to internal governance matters are confidential. Public statements on behalf of the party are made only by individuals authorized by the board. Ms. Brodie is a director of the OneBC party. Following recent changes in leadership roles, she is not currently authorized to speak on behalf of the party. That tweet has now been deleted. But the same day that it was posted, Brodie posted the following message on her personal X account alongside a photo of her with the OneBC logo on it. She said, quote, I wish I could respond to everyone individually. Your outpouring of support has been overwhelming and I'm so grateful. No giving in, no giving up, no backing down, no surrender. Let's do this, end quote. And hey, it looks like she really meant it. The details about Brodie taking the party back haven't been made public, but the online mudslinging seems to have mercifully come to an end. What is clear, Brodie still has Jim McMurtry on her side. So Jim McMurtry is the BC teacher that was fired over telling the truth about the mass graves hoax and talking about residential schools. Brodie had previously mentioned that McMurtry was going to be a candidate in the next election for South Delta. So I'm assuming that unless there's some MLA that we don't know of who has plans to join OneBC with Brodie, that Brodie's just going to be attempting to sort of bootstrap the party until the next election and then see how it shakes out and if she can reform an official party if she gets anyone else elected as an MLA. I don't doubt that she can easily find candidates to run because it does appear that, as I said, the public sentiment seems to be largely in her favor rather in favor of Armstrong or the people who removed her from OneBC. It was really dirty. And I don't think the persons involved understood just how bad it really looked to the public. It was really unbecoming of politicians and their staffers to engage in this level of public airing of dirty laundry. I saw these comments from former OneBC staffers saying things to the effect of, well, you know, Dallas Brodie said that you're annoying and she wanted to fire you too, and I told her not to. And then there were these comments sort of accusing Brodie of being mentally fragile, unable to handle dissenting viewpoints. Ultimately, who knows what's actually true and what isn't? I can really only guess. That's all of us can do. But what I do know is that some people really seem to believe that their mudslinging is going to damage other people's reputations. They don't realize that they're getting dirty. It's damaging their own reputation. A lot of what was said during the implosion of OneBC, in my opinion, moved well beyond political strategy, to say the least. It was immature, ego-driven brawling. It was really distasteful. It didn't inspire confidence in any politicians to hear these sorts of very personal remarks that seemed clearly intended to hurt other people's feelings. It was gross, frankly. And you have to ask yourself, who wins in all of this? And the answer, of course, is that the BC NDP wins. They are loving this, loving it. Why wouldn't they love this? Of course they do. This is at a time when Premier David Eby really loves having the spotlight removed from him It's not a good time for David Eby right now. It's a terrible time. He's been getting hammered about his government's role in the Cowichan decision, about his loyalty to BC residents and property owners versus Indigenous persons in Canada. He's been getting hammered over support for DRIPA, the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act. He's getting hammered on being excluded from talks between PM Carney and Alberta Premier Daniel Smith about a pipeline going to the West Coast. The two signed a memorandum of understanding about a pipeline to the West Coast without his input or presence. How absolutely humiliating for David Eby. This distraction, this massive distraction full of drama caused by the implosion of OneBC could not have come at a better time for Eby. And then you also have to keep in mind that our media landscape in this province is such that politicians like Eby get a free pass. As a bit of an aside, another politician that gets a free pass, Sean Orr, Vancouver City Councillor, you've got to look this guy up. His last name is spelled ORR. He's publicly identifying himself as a socialist. He's called for the destruction of Canada and Israel. Again, this is the sort of politician that the far left mainstream media gives a pass to. But if you're a conservative politician, you're not going to get a pass from the media for so much as drinking a cup of coffee that's not fair trade, organic, and wasn't brewed by a non-binary barista of color. It's one-sided. Of course, not the New Westminster Times and a few other publications, but largely this is what we deal with with mainstream media in BC. And so that's why you see headlines in these far left publications, including the Tyee, going as far back as this summer, claiming that the entire political right in BC was imploding. And this, before all of this latest highly visible drama. Here's a quote from a Tyee article that was written this summer. "You can't really describe the warfare on BC's right as a train wreck. It's way worse than that. Imagine a train wreck where some survivors emerge and start kicking the injured," end quote. Honestly, it's hard to disagree with that characterization of the conservative movement in BC at this juncture. And of course, the Tyee also did an expose type piece on this Othman Mekhloufi character. And ironically, they didn't even need to do any research to write this piece because all of the dirt was publicly provided by persons within the OneBC party. OneBC practically wrote this expose for the Tyee. What else is there to say really other than yikes? My Christmas wish is that the Conservatives in our province could pull themselves together, unite on conservative principles. Don't mess up. Don't hire people who've been sharing highly questionable crap on the internet. I say that as someone who's a free speech absolutist. Bear in mind, just, do your due diligence because the right can't afford these types of mistakes right now. That said, the right also needs to forego purity tests and cancel culture. I'm thinking specifically of the case of Lindsay Shepherd, who was fired by John Rustad after she made a comment on X about the orange shirt at the legislature and the mass graves hoax. Don't be the woke right. Don't act like woke people. Get your bleep together. Work with people you might not want to work with. Keep your grievances within the party. I just really don't want to hear about it. I really don't want to hear about it. And I don't think that other conservative voters in BC want to hear this crap either. But you know who does want to hear this? NDP voters. They love it. In 2026, I don't want to lose faith in any more politicians, certainly not any more than I lost faith in 2025. We've got to get it together and just think about the fact that this is about defeating the NDP. It's about saving BC from the cultural and economic destruction that is ruining our province. Also bear in mind that Juno News reported earlier this month that an NDP volunteer had been scoping out rental properties in Vancouver for a 2-month time period at the beginning of 2026. It's possible that this means EB could call a snap election. I sort of doubt it, but it's in the realm of possibility. We need to be concerned about it and be prepared in case this happens. And if it does, just please get your crap together, BC Conservatives. Please. And on that note, I would like to wish all of you a very warm and Merry Christmas from everyone here at the New Westminster Times. Thank you.